Hey, we're here to talk about how to help your brand level up on Amazon by scaling FBA revenue with custom tailored growth formulas. And the man, the myth, the legend, the guest here to do it is Mr. Pasha Knish, who is the CEO of AMZOptimize.com. They have over 13 years of selling experience, and Pasha has launched his own brands. He's managed 8-figure revenue annually. He helps clients accelerate their brands on Amazon with comprehensive and customized solutions. So if you're someone who is just so stuck, overwhelmed, want to grow faster on Amazon, whatever your situation is, Pasha has a unique approach to help Amazon sellers navigate the complexities of the platform by focusing on balancing data-driven strategies with a deep understanding of the human element of e-commerce. Sounds exciting. Sounds like a tough problem to solve, but easier with the expert Pasha here to help us out. So Pasha, glad to see you. Glad to speak with you.
Thanks, Robert, for having me on. I'm real excited.
I'm excited as well. And so to keep that excitement going, to keep that momentum train in full speed, what are you currently excited about? What's your current focus and passion?
Well, I mean, I think as many AI is, top of mind and how that is going to revolutionize our industry. I think that many people are like, well, it's either you kind of stay with it or I don't want to say get left behind, but we're just aware that it's like every industry is being disrupted and e-commerce is no different. But I don't like to look at it in a way of disruption. I like to look at it as a way of innovation. So for me, innovation is kind of like, where is that leading to in my industry, in my focus and in my niche, and how can I leverage AI in a way not to potentially make people feel like, oh, we're as an agency using AI because we were trying to spend more time on the beach. We're using it as a way to be more efficient. And there's just so much opportunity there. So right now, we're currently working on a project where we're building an AI tool for Amazon sellers that allows them to optimize their backend using AI basically to learn more deeply about what a product actually is and fill out certain fields within a backend of a listing um, that most people don't fill out because it's very tedious. There's a lot of these like additional fields that people just don't fill out because you don't see it on the front end, right? It's not a title or a bullet point or a description or fancy images, although we do that because every agency does that. But focusing on the actual stuff that makes it a catalog. Amazon has a massive catalog. It's a search engine. So optimizing for that search engine and to categorize your product properly is becoming more and more important because we're seeing intent-based search rolled out by Amazon. And that is not necessarily replacing keyword-based search, but changing the algorithm quite a bit. So again, to stay on top, we're just looking for solutions to kind of meet the change that's coming at us.
I like it. And that's right there, that lesson of like fill out all the fields or as many as possible. That's like really good SEO advice. And I was blown away when it's such a simple idea, right? And like years ago, I heard about it when someone said, if you set up a profile anywhere, right? Meetup, LinkedIn, YouTube, just see what the fields are. And if it makes sense to enter something there, like be one of the few accounts or that like just has it all filled in, right? Put your speaker bio on your about page. And then like in Amazon, like I don't do e-commerce anymore, but I do a lot of like publishing books and like, Amazon's like, hey, you can claim X number of keywords, claim X number of categories, like fill it out. And there's no more excuse anymore, right? With AI, because like with AI, you say, well, could I just push a button and generate a bunch of stuff? Well, I guess you could, but then there's also this idea you're saying of like efficiency. Like if it took me 2 hours to figure out all these fields in the backend versus I give the data, ask it the questions, get it all done in 10 minutes, then I can get further faster, get more done, and then be like, okay, well, there's all these things in the back end that like most people don't fill out. Well, I can be the ones that fill it out. And then you say that it's about the intent-based search, not the keyword search. So maybe they do a certain keyword search, but there's other things that they're looking for. And I'm really curious about that part. So when you say like, okay, intent-based search versus keyword search, what does that look like as far as like a product listing or a brand you've helped out?
Well, people are, first of all, Amazon has a lot of data on us, like not even mentioning, Whole Foods and Alexa, and they're just like TV and, all that stuff. So they have a lot of information about us as a customer profile. And now when we come in, maybe based on our browsing history or our behaviors for shopping, certain day of the week or hour of the day or whatever it is, they're collecting that data. And so they have a certain way of looking at you, and their job is to deliver results in the most efficient way for themselves to make money. So they want to encourage a sale. So they will show you something that is as close as possible to what you're searching for. Now, some people, they come into Amazon the same way they come into Google or ChatGPT, is to solve a problem. Except on Amazon, it's the third biggest search engine in the world. So they're coming there to not find information like on Google, but to solve a problem, a physical problem, to order a product, get it delivered really fast. And that's their promise. So if someone is coming in, they might not know exactly how to phrase it. So they're looking for, I don't know, yellow sandals for the beach, right? But there might be a certain style or a certain shape or a certain size that is more relevant to them as a customer profile. And so over time, they're going to find ways to deliver results that are more relevant based on what you're typing in versus the actual keyword itself. Traditionally, it's just been keyword stuffing in listings. People don't care about anything else. Like 10 years ago, it was the Wild West on Amazon. I was around during that time. I've seen it all. And people would literally just have like yellow sandals for the beach yellow sandals, like 100,000 times in different combinations throughout the entire listing. There's no actual, barely any substance to the listing. Now they want an actual explanation of that product and all of these other attributes that somebody might look for, like plastic slippers for the beach. But you have in the materials section, you're writing what kind of plastic it is. And for every subcategory, so here's the caveat: every subcategory has its own valid values that Amazon is saying. So think about how many thousands of subcategories there are on Amazon, and each one has its own valid values that they will accept to categorize and classify in their catalog. So you need to know what those are and then put them in, not just put in random things. So you have to play by their rules, and that's where all of this kind of comes in. But the point is to just be as relevant and as accurate as possible.
I like it. Be relevant, be accurate. Look at the neighborhood where you're in. Look at that subcategory and look what other people are doing, right? And it seems like a lot to think about, right? But that's the price to pay of ranking well on Amazon, right? And I think we've all been there, right? Haven't we? When we search for something, we look for those yellow sandals, and like our eye goes for like, okay, I'm looking for something specific that I didn't put in the search, and I go to that page expecting to kind of get my answer. And so it's a lot to navigate, and I can see why a brand who perhaps needs better optimized listings or needs to have this more dialed in can go to someone like you and kind of think these things through. And so when you go and jump in, you get a new client and there's some low hanging fruit, there's some cleanup to be done. Like, what do you normally see? What have they perhaps already set up that you improve?
I mean, there's a list of things. The first thing is people don't do anything about their reviews. I think the reviews are a gold mine of information. So the first thing that I would do is, I mean, of course, you want to have all of the sections filled out. If we're talking about from a content perspective, that's the first thing, is content. Because if you're sending ads to a listing that doesn't convert well, then you're wasting your money. So we'll optimize the content first, and then we'll look into other efficiencies in advertising logistics. But just on the content page, as long as they have all of the fields that are available on the front end filled out, that's like step number one. If you don't have all 6 or 7 images, they allow now 11, but at least that the first 7 that you kind of see right there from the above the fold, and a product video, and have a fully optimized A+ content page, that's the first thing. And then after that, it's how can we improve on this content? Can we make infographics highlighting the unique selling points? Or is the branding parallel to the branding they have on their website or their social media? Or is it every listing kind of different because they've used different freelancers from Upwork or, whatever, Fiverr or something, doing different things at different times? Then the next thing is, as I was saying in the beginning, reviews. What are people complaining about? Like, why is it a 4.2? Can we get it to a 4.4? Okay, how do we do that? Oh, these people have been consistently complaining about this problem. Can we highlight that in the content so people maybe perhaps don't buy it if they have that expectation that's not being met? Or can we do something about the manufacturing to improve the product, to get the quality up? So those are the types of things that we would do basically from a kind of just getting started position. Then after all that's done, we say, all right, well, the listing is 10 out of 10. We've done everything we can on the quality side, the review side. Now, what can we do for advertising? And advertising is a whole other world. What can we do from the logistics side? Are we sending in packages that are as small and light as possible? Or is Amazon just overcharging every single time on those FBA fees? How are you stocking? Are you kind of timing it well, overstocking, understocking? Do you have a backup FBM offer in case you understock, FBA runs out? Do you have a backup that you can send out from your own warehouse in the meantime so your listing doesn't go down and lose all that rank? So these are the couple of these things that we kind of go through, and these are just kind of like standard motions. And then once we get into advertising, there's a lot more depth there with DSP and AMC, which is basically building out a full funnel system from new to brand customers to retargeting, and then how do we present that to our clients, using lifetime value metrics and things like that.
Well, I like it, and it's fun just to hear about your thought process, right? There's like it's like very strategic, right? You're saying, well, how do we get more of the high score? Like we have the ratings are at this. Let's look at what's there and figure out how can we address some of the issues, either set the expectations or correct the problem itself. Making sure that you're maxed out on the images and the video, and a lot of it makes logical sense, right? Just having your backup FBM in case the FBA sitting in Amazon's warehouse runs out. And it seems like it can all be a lot of fun just to kind of be at a better position and kind of be better on the attack versus because it is really competitive, right, on Amazon, isn't it? And then like
Super.
everyone is dialing up their reviews and their listings and making sure the shipping's there, and everyone else is running ads. So we have to really compete. And so with someone like you who just says like, hey, I look at the SKU and I look at the page and I look at what the ads could be running, it's like, hey, I see all these things. Let's get this better figured out, better dialed in. And so now that we have a little bit of an idea about kind of your thought process and your mindset, I'm really curious about your own journey, because my understanding is that you went from selling like generic products on Amazon to now you're managing an 8-figure agency. So like, what was the pivot point like why did you change your thinking, and what did you have to do to get from point A to point B?
Well, it's a long story, so I'll try to keep it concise. So I dropped out of college in the last semester. Basically, I had a choice. Do I want to pursue my Amazon business? At the time, I had an Amazon business. This was back in, I don't know, 2011 or so. And I was like, all right, do I pursue this Amazon business? Or maybe 2013, something around there. I already was working for some time on the platform. We already had a pretty successful business with my partners. And I'm like, do I get this philosophy degree and then become a lawyer or a teacher or something like that? Or do I become an entrepreneur and pursue this thing that I've, kind of been doing on the side that seems to be working very well? Little did I know that I had it easy back then. I thought everybody can just grow 7-figure accounts as like a 20-year-old or something like that, right? So I made a decision. I dropped out. I didn't get my degree. I still don't have it. And I pursued that business, and I eventually exited and went out on my own. And from there, I had a long journey. And prior to that, I had several businesses. But even after that, I mean, it just kind of opened my horizon to a lot of different things, including KDP. You mentioned that's what you're involved in. I launched a couple of books and created animations and did all the advertising and hired like ghostwriters. This was pre-AI, of course, and had that experience, hoping that I can create this KDP empire that was kind of hot at the time. I wanted to launch 100 books, and then just each one could potentially bring you some residual income, and if it adds up. That didn't work out in the end. It didn't bring the income that I wanted. So I went back to the drawing board, just launched another e-commerce brand, which I still operate to this day. It's still doing well. And then the thing with e-commerce businesses is that they are a cash flow suck. They don't really bring you any money that you can really live on until you get them to a certain point. Or if you do start using that money to live on it, then you can't grow it efficiently. So I said, all right, I'd like to do some freelancing on the side. I know all these things about Amazon operation. There was a demand for it. So I started just doing some freelance work. And there, it was going well. And I started taking on projects with certain aspects of those projects being things that I can't do on my own. I'm not a great graphics designer to myself. I don't really know how to use Photoshop. Canva wasn't as great as it is today. Same thing, like as a writer, I'm an okay writer. I'm an okay graphic designer. The first couple listings I had to try it out on Paint or whatever. But long story short, I had to start hiring out. I was taking on bigger projects. I had to start hiring, getting help. And I started putting the team together, and I realized, man, first of all, I love building teams and building strategies and helping clients. And the other thing is I just love working with different people from different walks of life and working in different categories, sourcing from different places. Like you just kind of get a perspective that's different all the time versus doing the same thing over and over again when it's your brand, your brand, and that's kind of the little universe that you're in. But here I'm able to kind of, oops, sorry about that. I'm able to
That's how
expand.
excited you are.
Exactly. I'm just smacking the microphone all over the place. So, yeah, that just kind of went on and here I am today. We've been 6 years in as an agency, and we've just been consistently growing. I tried stepping out of the Amazon sphere a little bit, and because I'm doing some social media advertising and different things for my own brand. But I realized that, you know what, as a service, we're really focused on Amazon. That's the thing we're doing the best. And so that's all I want to do. And so I've just doubled down on that. And so we've become full service. We've been full service for a long time. Um, and, content's included, logistics are included. We have partners, like every type of partner that you can imagine. I started a podcast last year interviewing other agency owners, both in the Amazon space and outside of the Amazon space. So again, expanding my horizons in the area that I'm at. So that's just been kind of my thing going and going. But along the way, man, I've had so many failures. I failed. I've launched 3 private brands on Amazon and just e-commerce brands in the last 3 years, and they have failed actually for different reasons, which I can go into it maybe at another time. I don't know if we have time for that, but that has failed. And KDP has failed. And there's a couple other things, little projects here and there, little mini services that I've tried out that have failed. So you gotta try stuff, right?
Oh yeah, and you've definitely tried stuff, and I just like how it's like just the way you've explained your journey here. It's not like you tried all this stuff that was completely different. It's not like you just kind of had the ADD and jumped around. You said, "Hey, well, I'm building this on Amazon, and I'll see if it works, and I'll be data driven." And you expect a lot of failure, right? Because you're looking for those few successes, and so you're not being delusional, you're not being rigid, but you're also not doing the other extreme. You're not just kind of being like easily distracted. You're saying, well, here's what I think will work. Here's what I think has the best chance of success. Here's the work to be done, the workflow, the people I'll put in place. Then we measure it, and then we kind of see like, okay, is it close or is it just something we should stop doing? So I like it's great to hear about just like, the way that you think and the way you've kind of found your zone. You've found your jam. And as far as like putting a team together, I think that's interesting because sometimes people mess up, right? Sometimes they don't keep the recurring attention on their people or on their process, or they hire the wrong people and they keep them around for too long. And but like, what do you think is dysfunctional in building teams these days? Like, why do you think that you build teams so well? What do you think that you do differently?
I mean, again, it's failure. I failed so many hires that I now know what to do, and I still continue to fail. I mean, as you grow an organization, you have to start hiring for more advanced level positions. Like you're not just getting like copywriters or graphics designers to do simple tasks like, hey, we need a listing done. This is how we do it. Could you please do it for me? Done, right? That's an easy hire, in my opinion. Now we're talking about hiring management and then top tier management, people who are like client facing. So that becomes a little bit more sensitive. And then still, I have not been able to successfully hire a salesperson. I'm still the main salesperson in our company because I'm the best person for that job until a certain point to me in the future. So, and I'm sure I'll hire probably 6 people before I find a good one. And, you just kind of get better and better. So I think that people I think like one thing that I have done wrong is not interviewing enough people, kind of like jump at the first option or the second option. Like I think I should go a little bit more in depth. That's what I've learned as a first step. Where to search for people, maybe not like Upwork and those kind of like freelance sites are very different than like LinkedIn, for example, or any of these other job posting sites, and like kind of which countries to hire in, because we're a global organization. So there's certain regions where you have different levels of talent, different levels of understanding of e-commerce and in your niche. So it's all just trial and error. Like there's no secret formula to these things. You can take courses, you can read books, you can look at LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever gurus you like to follow. But at the end of the day, unless you're actually doing it yourself and spending money hiring and training a person for them to just turn around and kind of like egg you on and pretend like they're doing something and they're actually not. And there's not really a way for you to verify because they're just kind of checking boxes and your project management thing. And then, you have people complaining later. It's like it takes a while to figure out that they're not good. So these are just things you have to experience.
Yeah, you just have to experience and be patient and have trial and error. And it seems like there's somewhat of just being aware of the size of the problem that you're attacking, right? Like you mentioned earlier, or you mentioned just now, plus earlier about like sometimes you do go to the freelance sites just to get a quick job done, right? Oh, I need this product listing page done. It doesn't need to be something that stands the test of time, just like something for now. And then later on, when someone says, well, okay, well, over the years, like all the product listings look different than our landing page. Now it's time for someone like Pasha and his team at AMZ Optimize to go in and fix that up, right? That's a more like higher level kind of thing. And so and then you said like, management and like the higher level of management and salesperson, it's like higher skill. So there's the need to have more patience as far as the hiring process and the kind of the more complex system to make sure that they do the job that you want them to do. And like you said, it's there's no set formula. It's just you have this mindset and the work that's required to get it done. And so as far as someone saying, all right, well, I don't want to lose money on my PPC campaigns anymore. I'm so fed up with this algorithm that changes all the time. I know on Amazon, I have to figure out content. There's like so much to juggle, right? So much to figure out. And so what does AMZ Optimize do as far as someone who's just frustrated in all these ways? How does someone know if they're a good fit? And if they are, like what kind of issues do you guys talk about initially?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if somebody is trying to sell on Amazon, or they're selling a product, they have a brand, or they're launching a brand and they're existing maybe on D2C, social media, they see that there's some momentum there. Amazon is a place where they say now statistically it's like 90% of the searches, the buying journey begins on Amazon. So people need to be there. If you have a brand, you need to be on Amazon, and your presence there is going to be important, regardless if you're even making money. But if you're already there, you should be making money, or at least breaking even. You want to take some market share, you want to grab attention, and then it should be a part of your full funnel kind of ecosystem where you have social media and your website and maybe some retail if you want to. But Amazon needs to be a part of that stack, and so that's why we focus on that. We kind of like, I look at it as an octopus. We can be that tentacle, so you don't have to be specialized in that. We can just kind of handle it all for you and become a partner. So we do pretty much everything on a digital level. We can't, accept pallets. We don't have a warehouse, but we can help with inventory forecasting. We can help with case management. You'd be surprised how many cases we deal with just working with Amazon. So many red flags everywhere. They're just coming up with new rules all the time. So listings get taken down or things don't show up properly. So we work with that a lot. But just on a basic level, like I was saying, content, advertising, strategy, reporting, and just good people to talk to that understand your issues and your specific niche, because everybody's different. So we're very much a boutique service. We're not like this huge agency that has like a rotation of like, churn and everything. We have clients that we've worked with for many years, but we're not the cheapest either. So I'd say that if somebody's looking for a real dedicated partner that they can actually like, connect with on a personal level and have trust and faith and allow us to show our expertise through this conversation, listening to this, talking to us outside of this, listening to some of the other team members, so you can see our project manager, our advertising person, our creative director, like all these people are specialized in their own way. And we found a way to just work together, have great software, have great partners, and just create this whole solution. And I believe like our motto is like that we're, first of all, better, second of all, cheaper than hiring an in-house team, trying to build your own in-house team. One or two employees cannot possibly do the amount that we do. And for you to get the right people and get them to work together and do all the things that we're doing is just going to be way more expensive, and you're going to rip your hair out in the process. So, that's our value proposition.
Well, very nice, and yeah, this term in-house team that it keeps coming up more and more, right? And it's really frustrating because you're like, hey, we've got this team, and they do all this e-commerce stuff, and they've been doing it for years. They eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff, and there's all these people that are specialized. And someone says, oh, I'll hire someone off a freelance site, and they'll just dabble, they'll do like a little bit of this and that, and it's like it seems like a recipe for frustration and for those mediocre results. And I like what you said in there, Pasha, where you said that the algorithm changes, right? Amazon updates rules all the time. And if you have that in-house person where they're already spread, they're already juggling like 16 different things. And then you guys, when you have the different people with their different areas of focus, and they're like, hey, we knew this was coming. We'd heard about this rule change. We know exactly what to do. That seems like a much logical approach compared to sort of like bootstrapping and figuring it all out yourself, right? You wouldn't build a car from scratch or like a house from scratch. You'd say, hey,
Yeah.
there's existing plans. Let me just get someone and do it for me. And so are there any disqualifiers or qualifiers for someone to know like, okay, I'm a good fit to have a conversation with Pasha?
I'll be honest, like I said, we're not the cheapest option. There's probably agencies overseas that you can go to if you want like a solution just to, check the box, but we work a lot with US based and EU based clients. And our minimum starts at 2,800 as a base fee. And then we also have a small percent for commission just to keep everybody motivated. So as long as people are able to understand that that's kind of our minimum threshold, then we're happy to have a conversation with anybody that's either in a launch phase on Amazon or has already existing sales data. We can come in and do an audit, present a forecast, and those are sort of the next steps. So we work with anybody and pretty much in any category. Like we've worked with at least 100 brands in the last 5 years. So that 100 brands really spreads out from very technical electronics to very simple commodity based items and everything in between.
Well, very cool. So if that sounds like you, it's worth going to amzoptimize.com, click the button, book a free call. But before I let you go, Pasha, I do want to touch on this very excellent podcast you have really quick here, because sometimes someone says, hey, I want to get to know Pasha and the team and find out about what's on his mind and what he's working on. So as far as this podcast you have, what's that called and what's that about?
Oh, yeah. It's called the Agency Operators Podcast. We have over 50 episodes recorded as of right now. And we're basically interviewing agency owners across the web, people from different walks of life, different agencies, styles. It can be Amazon, it can be D2C, it can be different stuff. And we even have other service providers, but we try to look for people who are experts in their own field and just kind of pick their brain, get their story, similar to how you did with me today. Everybody has, I like to call it like a nugget of gold that they can share. And so it's really interesting to just hear everybody's perspective. And personally, for me, it's been like, I call it like a fractionalized mentorship, where I have all these great people who have been successful, who have, experienced failure, experience different things, like we have, and are able to just like share their story and just say, hey, you know what, I still keep going despite all this, right? And so that's just like, it's motivation. It's, you get some knowledge about certain things, certain topics in our industry. So yeah, check it out. It's an Agency Operators Podcast. We usually stream live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook every Tuesday around afternoon time Eastern. So you can find that on LinkedIn, and we're on Spotify and all the streaming platforms, so you can check it out.
Well, very cool. And you're so right that it's so worthwhile to have that healthy, regular weekly dose of there's the mindset mentorship piece, there's the business piece, and then there's like the nuts and bolts, the technical, if you're actually in e-commerce, then you kind of get the latest news, and then you get it from Pasha plus whatever guests he has, like Alex Karagianis, when he was talking about leveraging AI for growth. And you and I were talking about AI a little bit here. And so that podcast you mentioned, like you said, you stream on LinkedIn and YouTube and other places, and it's on Spotify. That Agency Operators Podcast is your refuge from the industry buzz, and they spotlight genuine experts in the agency and e-commerce service provider realm, providing a clear path through the clutter of fake gurus. So that's the Agency Operators Podcast. But what we really want you to do is go to amzoptimized.com, because Amazon is hard and they've made it simple for you. And growing on Amazon requires expert advice and a dedicated team. They have plans from PPC and full service and a custom plan. And if all that sounds like, okay, well, I know I want something from him, but I'm not sure exactly what, that's where you go there, amzoptimized.com. You click on the button that says book a free call and just explain your situation, explain your problem, and figure out if AMZ Optimized can help you launch and scale on Amazon. They have fully built out solutions, faster and cheaper than training an employee or building a team. amzoptimized.com. And before I let you go, Mr. Pasha, it's time for the scary part of the show where I try to put you on the spot a little bit and I ask for a quote or lesson that has served you. So what comes to mind for a quote or lesson?
Yeah, just like, kind of tying back to our conversation today. It's a very simple quote. Some may have heard it already, but it's that the path to success is paved by many failures. And I really believe that's true. You don't grow by sitting on your couch and watching TV, right? You grow by getting out there and trying and falling. And then you get up, you dust yourself off, and you keep going. And that's how we grow. That's how we expand. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to try new things. And hey, there's a lot of failure out there, but then there's also some success mixed in. And you are built by the things that you've failed by, right? Like failures are not, they're just, it's data, it's lessons, it's information. So you don't look at it as like, oh, I suck, I'm not, it's like, don't let it get you down. You just get back up and keep going. So if you have that attitude, then you can grow and be successful at whatever it is that you want. It doesn't have to be business, it doesn't have to be about money. It could be in relationships, it could be about in health. Anything that you aspire to, you just have to get out there and do it.
That's very inspirational, very wonderful. Failure is data, and I think we've all been there, haven't we, Pasha? In like driving ourselves crazy with that ratio and saying, "Oh, well, I want all successes, no failures," or "I want equal successes and failures." It's like, hey, you just need to get to some successes, but you'll never get there if you don't try. And so let's think about that as we check out the Agency Operators podcast. You do a Google search for it, you find the Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, your platform of choice, and amzoptimize.com, which is Mr. Pasha Knish's agency to get to the buy box, to get those listings optimized, to get your advertising figured out, all those amazing things. amzoptimize.com. And thank you, Mr. Pasha, for showing up, stopping by, helping us out. I really appreciate what you brought to us.
Thank you, Robert, for having me on. I really appreciate the time.